Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Friday, the end of another working week, one day before England versus Switzerland at Wembley, which should be a fun game to watch. Some Arsenal involvement in there on both sides, obviously, with Switzerland, Granit Xhaka, and Arsenal with Emile Smith-Rowe and Ben White. Could well have been, or should well have been, Aaron Ramsdale and Bukayo Saka as well. We knew Ramsdale dropped out of the squad because of injury, and now it has been confirmed that Bukayo Saka has also dropped out. That news coming through last night or sort of early evening, that Saka has, after a few days of not testing positive, has now tested positive. He had been confined to his hotel room for a couple of days because of illness. Then the FA confirming that he has tested positive for COVID, so he has now been sent back to Arsenal. Disappointing for Saka, obviously. He would want to play, no doubt about it. But in a way, and I said this in yesterday's video, quite good news for Arsenal, really, because it gives him another little bit of a rest, providing, obviously, that the COVID isn't too bad, which we presume it's not, and he just has to have a bit of a chill out before returning to training at some point next week. It shouldn't put him in any doubt in terms of missing any Arsenal games, because obviously they're not playing Palace until Monday week, so we've got plenty of time for him to recover and plenty of time for him to test negative and rejoin the squad. So it actually just gives him a nice little break before the final 10 games of the season. So that's quite good news for Arsenal, but obviously disappointing for him, because he would have wanted to play for England. Playing at Wembley tomorrow, full house against Switzerland, and we know how much Bukayo Saka likes playing for England, so but that's a bit disappointing for him. One man who is pretty happy about it, however, is Granit Xhaka, his Arsenal teammates. Xhaka, Switzerland captain, will be playing tomorrow. He's been speaking ahead of that game, and he had something to say about Saka and Ramsdale not playing, and coming up against Arsenal players. He said two of them are not playing, so that's good because we know the quality they have. Of course, they have a very good generation now at England. They're playing very well, not only in the national team, but the English players at Arsenal as well. We are happy that Saka and Aaron are not playing tomorrow. So, not too much sympathy coming from Granit ahead of that one, but he will be coming up against Ben White and Emile Smith-Rowe. It will be interesting to see if either of those two start. I can't imagine Ben White's going to start. He should, to be fair, because he's, in my mind, he's the best English centre-back and has been the best English centre-back this season. I mean, he's been far, far better than Harry Maguire, but I presume Harry Maguire is probably going to play, because he always plays under Southgate, and to be fair, although he's been pretty rubbish for Manchester United this season, he's not really let England down when he's played, so I imagine Southgate will keep him at centre-back. I mean, who will be his partner? John Stones, you'd imagine. So I can't see Ben White playing in this one. He might come on, who knows, but I doubt it. He might have to wait a little bit more time to get his next England appearance. No Aaron Ramsdale, obviously, but Emile Smith-Rowe could well feature. I doubt he'll be starting, but he made a big impression on Gareth Southgate the last time he was called up for England. The fact he's in the squad sort of shows how much of an impression he made in my mind, because he's not played too much football for Arsenal recently, either through injury, illness, or just the fact that Gabriel Martinelli's been playing. So I wasn't actually expecting him to be in this England squad, and the fact that he is, to me, shows how much he impressed Gareth Southgate and the other England coaches during the last link-up. So maybe we'll see Emile Smith-Rowe come off the bench in this one, but no Bukayo Saka, and that is a disappointing one. But I mean, God, Bukayo's been run into the ground, hasn't he? And despite what those stupid pundits on ESPN were saying yesterday about Bukayo Saka, he never misses any games, does he? He's just always playing. He always gets kicked left, right, and centre. Always seems to play. Always seems to be fit for games. So he doesn't really have too much of a rest, and hasn't since he broke into the Arsenal team, which feels like ages ago now. But it's only been a couple of years. So it'd be nice for him just to have a bit of a breather now ahead of what just how crucial these 10 games are going to be. So I don't think too many Arsenal fans around the world are going to be complaining too much at the fact that Saka gets a little bit of a breather now and doesn't have to join up with England. So he'll be back at Arsenal, and will be carefully monitored. I mean, he won't actually be back at Arsenal, he'll be back at home now, and he'll be carefully being monitored by Arsenal and waiting for him to test negative, and then he can return to London Colney. Elsewhere, in terms of the international break at the moment and Arsenal players, it was a big night for Gabriel Martinelli last night. His fabulous few months really continues, and he made his Brazil senior debut. A massive moment for him, big moment for Arsenal, in fact, as well, and a proud moment for the whole Martinelli family and lots of people involved at Arsenal. He came on 15 minutes to go, I think it was, 75th minute he came on, as Brazil hammered Chile 4-0 at the Maracanã. And what a place to make your debut as well, as a Brazilian at the Maracanã. So yeah, great news for him. He looked pretty lively in those 15 minutes. Actually, I saw some clips of what he had to do. He wasn't involved in any of the goals, but he caused Chile some problems down that left hand side. And yeah, great for him ahead of the World Cup. You've got to say he's playing himself into real World Cup contention now, Gabriel Martinelli, and it just shows how well he's done in the last couple of months since coming back into the Arsenal side. Just been absolutely brilliant, breath of fresh air, straight over to link up with Brazil, straight into the side. I wasn't sure if he was going to get any minutes yesterday, but he was straight into the team coming off the bench. So that's great news for him. I thought it was quite fitting actually, because Francis Cagay, I can never say it right, Cagiel, he was a man who, when he was at Arsenal, discovered Martinelli. Basically, went over there and played a big part in Arsenal signing him. Sort of saw him on the videos. A scout that he knows over in Brazil sort of drew his attention to Martinelli. He went over, watched him a few times. He said to Arsenal, look, we got to sign this kid. Brings him over to England, gets a deal done, signs. I mean, he's left now, but he's a technical director of Chile, of the Chile national team. And so he would have been there yesterday at American Iron. So although he'd have been disappointed to see Chile lose 4-0, for him, I'm sure it was a very proud moment seeing Martinelli, the player who he kind of plucked from obscurity almost in Brazil, and took this chance on him and brought him over to England to then see him make his debut a couple of years later. I thought it was quite fitting, and I'm sure I did actually send Francis a message overnight. He hasn't responded yet because it's in the middle of the night over there and he's probably sleeping, but I said to him, this must be a proud moment for you, and I'm interested in once he replies what he has to say, because I'm sure he's going to be disappointed that Chile took a bit of a battering, but I wouldn't be surprised if he sort of went and grabbed Martinelli afterwards and had a bit of a chat. So nice moment for Francis, brilliant moment for Gabriel Martinelli. Congratulations to him and his family, and yeah, good news for Arsenal as well. It just shows how talented this young Brazilian is. Elsewhere on international duty, good night for Kieran Tierney. He scored his first Scotland goal in a 1-1 draw with Poland. Nice little header from a free kick. So good for him. Cedric Soares didn't play against for Portugal. He was an unused substitute, but good win for them, winning 3-1 against Turkey, wasn't it? What a mad night. What a mad result for Italy, going out to North Macedonia. Unbelievable scenes there with that late winner for North Macedonia, meaning the European champions will not be at the World Cup. Stunning result that was. So yeah, and we'll wait to see what happens over the forthcoming days when it comes to internationals. Fingers crossed everyone comes through them fine. That's always the main thing during these international breaks, isn't it? With Arsenal players, you're always just sitting there, fingers crossed that nothing happens to any of them. Just before I go, I wanted to sort of focus more on Arsenal now. I've done a little sort of international bit, but in terms of Arsenal, I wanted to focus a little bit on discuss players who might leave in the summer, because we've seen lots of Arsenal players leave, haven't we, over I don't know, the last 18 months, 24 months, basically since Mikel Arteta's come in. The squad has been absolutely it's just been picked apart, hasn't it? I'm looking at it now, and it's mad how small it is, and that these sort of departures, I think, are going to continue in the summer. I think we'll certainly see a few players leave, and I just wanted to talk about them. We're always discussing the players who might come in during the January transfer window, but in terms of players who will leave, I mean, you look at this squad right now, and you wonder what's going to happen. I mean, Bernd Leno, I think, will definitely go. I mean, we know that's probably going to happen. He'll have a year left in his contract. Arsenal will look to get some money in for Bernd. I mean, you're not going to get the money back that you paid for him. Obviously not. He's only got a year left, and that's just not going to happen. But I imagine Arsenal will be looking to sort of generate 10, 15 million maybe for Bernd. We'll have to wait and see. You'd imagine he's going to go back. Probably he might end up heading back to Germany if he can. Matt Turner's going to come in and replace him. It's already a deal done for Matt Turner. It's coming over from New England Revolution. He'll be Arsenal's backup goalkeeper to Aaron Ramsdale next season. So that's pretty much something that's already been sorted. It's just a case of finding a club for Bernd. You look at the centre-back, you look at the defence, I don't think we're going to see too many departures. Potentially Cedric Soares might go out of the players who are there right now. It kind of depends on him, really. He's got a nice contract, hasn't he? Still got a couple of years left on that. Will he decide that he wants to move on and play more regularly somewhere else, or will he be happy at Arsenal? I mean, people close to Cedric that I know, he loves it at Arsenal. He's very, very happy. There's been chances for him to go before now. He's chosen not to. He's chosen to stay and fight for his place. I mean, clearly he's behind Takehiro Tomiyasu at the moment, but he is playing in Tomiyasu's absence, and he's playing pretty well. And it will just be a case of whether he really wants to go. If Arsenal bring in a right back, which is on the agenda, then it might sort of force his hand a little bit. It was quite interesting to see what's going to happen with Brooke Norton-Cuffy as well, who's playing very, very well out on loan at the moment. Very, very young, but it's like, will Arsenal decide, instead of bringing in a right back as backup, will they decide to sort of go with Brooke as number 2 to Tomiyasu next season? So interesting. I'd have no issue with Cedric Suarez staying. I think it'd be quite a good option for Arsenal, especially when you got Brooke coming through, who's very, very talented. You can kind of have one more year of Cedric playing as backup to Tomiyasu, and maybe send Brooke out on loan again for the season next season, potentially to Championship, and then sort of move Cedric on after that and have Brooke integrated into the first team more. So maybe in defence you'll see him go. I don't think in terms of the midfielder, I mean, we know Mohamed Elneny's going to go on a free transfer, so he'll be off. And I've said it before, I wouldn't be surprised if Granit Xhaka moves on this summer. I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen, but it wouldn't surprise me if this is the summer we finally see Granit Xhaka leave. He's playing very, very well at the moment, joining up really well with Thomas Partey. But I just get a sense that we might be seeing the sort of shift away from Xhaka. You look at the formation Arsenal playing now, you look at the position that Mikel Arteta is playing Granit Xhaka in. That is not a natural position for Granit Xhaka. We know that. He's doing a job, as he always does, because he's he's such a professional player, and he's doing it pretty well. But I think we're probably seeing Arsenal moving away from the reliance that they've had on Xhaka. You've got Thomas Partey now as the ultimate sort of holder there, and then you're playing Granit in that more advanced role. And Arsenal are going to look to bring someone in who's a lot more suitably adapted to that position. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if we see Granit Xhaka end up at Roma in the summer. It nearly happened last summer. It didn't. I think Jose Mourinho will still be keen on Granit. I think Granit might still be keen on that move to Rome, and Arsenal will look to get as good a deal as they possibly can for him. Obviously, he signed a new contract last summer, so they're in a bit of a stronger position when it comes to that. So we'll wait and see if that happens. And then in terms of the forwards, we know what's going to happen. Alexandre Lacazette probably going to go, barring a sort of late turnaround in thinking between Arsenal and him. Looks likely that he will go. Eddie will certainly go, and then you've got the Nicolas Pepe situation. 2 years left on his contract. Personally, I think if Arsenal can find a buyer for Nicolas Pepe, they will absolutely look to get that done in the summer. I think, do you give Nico a new contract and just have him as a bit part player? I'm not so sure. I think I wouldn't surprise if Arsenal can get money. I mean, they're going to have to take a massive hit. They spent £72 million on him. They're not going to get anywhere near that. I doubt they'll even get half of that. I think if they can get around 25 million potentially for Pepe in the summer, I think they will look to move that, take that, and move him on. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, there's lots of things there. So I'm thinking you're potentially looking at another 5 players from this squad who could potentially leave this summer, and then we'll see players coming in. We're going to see 2 forwards arrive at least. I would say we're going to see a central midfielder arrive, especially if Granit Xhaka goes, potentially a right back arrive. And this is all, if Arsenal get Champions League, we might even see more. I've always kind of had the approach, and from people I've been speaking to, last summer was the big summer in terms of the numbers who came through the door. We saw 6 new arrivals. People that I've spoken to in the build-up to this summer have always sort of suggested to me we're not going to see that amount of numbers again. We're going to see Arsenal be busy in the market, but potentially we're going to see more sort of... No, that doesn't sound right. I was going to say quality, because the players they all brought in last summer have proven to be real quality. But you're going to see more, focus on potentially a couple of really big signings, certainly one in the attack, and then another, and then a central midfielder. But if you've got Champions League football, then you're potentially going to have to make the squad even bigger. And if you're losing in midfield, you're losing Elneny, you're losing Granit Xhaka, you're obviously going to bring in a replacement. You've got Sambi, who has been biding his time this summer after that good start. Sambi's going to be a lot more, I think he's going to be a lot more important next season. He's a very, very good young player as well. It's going to be really interesting. There's so much to do. On top of that, I spoke about the contract, the needs for Arsenal to sort out the contracts for at least a couple of players as well. It's going to be really, really busy time for Edu. It's going to be an interesting time. And I think what happens between now and the end of the season, those last 10 games, and where Arsenal finish in the Champions League, in the Premier League, and whether they get Champions League, it's going to be really, really crucial to exactly what they do in the summer in terms of almost completing the rebuild. Because I kind of feel like this summer, at the end of this window, the kind of rebuild that's been going on ever since Mikel Arteta walked into the club is almost going to be complete, because the forwards are going to be sorted. I mean, we've not seen one forward arrive yet since Arteta took over. It's all been based on midfield and defence and goalkeeper. This is just going to be the summer of the forward at the Arsenal. And once that's done, then you're going to look at this Arsenal squad at the start of next season, and it is going to be absolutely a Mikel Arteta squad, I would say. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see exactly what it looks like. Who should Arsenal sign? Who should they let go? Always, please let me know. What do you agree? Should Granit go this summer? Let me know what you think in the comments below. If anything you've heard, disagreed with, agreed with in this video, always interested to hear your views. That's it from today. Go out, enjoy the sunshine, enjoy the weekend, everyone. Enjoy the international football wherever you're watching this around the world. And I'll be back maybe not over the weekend, I'm not sure, but certainly as the week progresses next week, as we start building up to the Premier League football returning. Have a great weekend. I'll speak to you soon.